I mentioned that there was an episode of Billy and Mandy that for whatever reason I was never allowed to finish. Every time this particular episode came on, for whatever reason, I either had to go to school or grandma's house or go to bed, and I never saw the ending of that episode. I'll do a rewatch another time, but there was another special that had the same effect. I mean, this was like 4 or 5 times where this happened. For whatever reason, I could never finish. The other thing where that happened to me was Scooby doing the cyber chase. And the funny thing is about both of those specials, I was always cut off at the exact same point. Now for Scooby doing the cyber chase, the point that I always had to cut off was when they were pointing to, they're in level 10 and they're pointing to where the Scooby snacks are in the arcade on the last level. And I never knew what happened from there until recently. I did rewatch it and I finally got through the whole thing. Good God, it took a long time to watch that show. But it was worth it. It was worth the wait. I still thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really cool to see them in the new outfits and them in the old outfits. I liked the redesign. I thought they were both really cool looking. And I liked them working off themselves, essentially. I liked seeing the creativity of the world. I mean, it's pretty straightforward who did it once you're an adult. It's the other guy, essentially. So they're visiting their friend at generic university, I think. It just says state university. They don't give it a name. But it's the other guy, essentially, who created the bad guy because, I believe, jealousy. Motivations. Anyways, I'm just really happy I finally got to finish it. But I got to see the action sequences that I never got to experience before. And it was really cool to see the chase sequence in that level. It was so cool to see. So for those of you who've never seen Scooby doing the cyber chase, yeah, I'm rambling here. Essentially, the ghost that they're chasing is a computer virus that somehow makes it into the real world. He's affected negatively by magnets, but so as they're chasing him, figuring out what's going on, they are sucked into a video game based on themselves. They're visiting a friend. He made a video game based on their mysteries. So it was a really cool way to see some of the monsters that they've unmasked over the years, but in this video game they're real, which is very, very cool. It came out, I've got the Wikipedia page right in front of me, so it's 2001 direct-to-video, and seeing early 2000s interpret video games in the internet is pretty funny to me now, especially considering how much has happened since. I mean, not funny in a condescending way, funny in a, oh my god, this is where we were at this time. This was a generalized understanding. And of course they take creative liberties with it, which is always fun. That's what I like about Scooby-Doo. I like their campiness. I like the fact that they have monsters, but it's fun. They get very creative with it. They have their own identity. Interestingly enough, I've noticed past, I think starting maybe the 90s, Fred, Daphne, and get a little bit more interesting. Of course, Scooby, Shaggy, and Velma always had their gags. They always had their funny thing. So it was really cool to see more of a cohesive unit. It's really cool to see that. And not to mention, if you like the gang, there's 2 of them in there because they have their virtual doubles. And they like each other. It's sweet. It's very fun. With, of course, very slight differences, so you can tell them apart, but still. Thoroughly enjoy it. What else is there to say? Just probably gonna start ranting about other Scooby-Doo specials over these. Scooby and the Cyber Chase, it's pretty... Now, it's no grand epic saga or anything, but it's still a fun, engaging mystery. I like the location. I like that they change it up. I like that they have an environment that can put them in so many different environments, namely the virtual world. So they go through all 10 levels. You get to see a little bit of there's a running gag in this special where Scooby and Shaggy are being chased down by a security guard who is probably one of the types of people who will abuse the smallest amount of power he gets. Yeah, people like that are always very good comic foils. Their teacher the professor of the friend that they're visiting is definitely an Albert Einstein-esque caricature. Though it is nice to see a Germanic character who is not a villain. I swear to God, that's a trope I see a lot. But overall, if you like Scooby-Doo and you're gonna figure out the mystery really, really quickly. Especially if you know the formula of the show. But even if you know it going in, it's still a ton of fun. There's still jokes and fun scenes, and you get to see the characters being the characters. It feels like a very worthy addition to the Scooby-Doo canon. And I'm very glad I finally got to finish it! Finally!